G'day legends, I hope you're all awesome. We're going to check out the Boss OD3 today. I bought this one on eBay recently just because I wanted to check it out, and I was kind of curious to see how close or different it is to the mighty SD1. You know, this is kind of the other yellow Boss overdrive that they have in production at the moment. Pretty straightforward. You got controls for level, drive, and tone. It's in a Boss box, so you know it's kind of indestructible. Let's get straight into hearing how this thing sounds. Let's get started with a pretty classic setup, a Strat. This is a Fender Buddy Guy Strat from the 90s with some gold lace sensors into the OD3, into a Fender Deluxe Reverb combo. I'm loading the combo down and I've got an IR of an EV12L loaded up with just a tiny amount of room style reverb. Let's have a listen to the neck pickup clean. So just kind of exploring around, having a bit of a noodle there. It's pretty interesting. The overall effect with the drive on 0 kind of sounds like you're just generally enhancing the sound that's already there. I like that it's adding a bit of sparkle and presence to the overall sound, a little bit of oomph. It definitely sounds more kind of full range than something like an SD1, which does cut a lot of bass. So if you're looking for something that doesn't cut a lot of bass, I think you might prefer that one over the SD1 just for this kind of thing already. It kind of reminds me of the Blues Driver a little bit. We'll have to kind of compare and contrast later on. Let's add some drive into that now. Back on the neck pickup, I'll just switch between neck and bridge because, you know, that's what I do on this guitar. gain range on this is pretty interesting. It sounds like it doesn't do a lot until you get to about 10, 11 o'clock. Then it just sort of jumps up and makes itself known. And then sounds like it doesn't really do that much once you get it up to about 1 or 2 on the dial, and then it just kind of saturates. So it's almost like, rather than a really smooth taper in there, you've got these distinct jumps. I definitely kind of like it on the Strat for the lower gain stuff on there. That's with the tone control all the way down. I think just a little bit of drive and, you know, the level control around noon and the tone control around 11, that's a pretty great low gain drive. Let's just hear that. We'll go through neck and then neck and middle positions on this Strat now. Then we'll switch to humbuckers. I've got my Les Paul with some PAF clones by Martin A. Smith here in Perth, Western Australia. I've also swapped out the IR for my usual greenback IR. You can grab it for free in the video description. It's called LT TV Mix 7. I want something more rock and roll, and you know, like a Fender amp into a kind of 4x12 greenback IR kind of sounds Marshall-y. So let's start with the clean, and then let's bring the OD3 in. So far, the OD3 screams amp in a box rather than overdrive pedal or boost pedal, but I do need to try it in front of the Synergy Brit 800 module with this Greco. It's got a Dirty Fingers in the bridge, so this is kind of the guitar that I grab when I want to cosplay as John Sykes. Let's hear the OD3 with the gain at minimum. We have the level almost all the way up, and the tone control is past noon. without it, and then with it. While we're here, let's hear my PRS SC245 in drop C through the Synergy 2CP. Sounds surprisingly like my Boogie Mark IV. I've got a comparison video up on my channel if you want to hear just how close. I will hear the OD3 for Filth on Filth because why not? In fact, I might turn the gain all the way up and see if I can get a kind of pseudo fuzz thing going on. Before we go, I want to compare and contrast the OD3 with two other classic Boss overdrive pedals, the Blues Driver and the Super Overdrive. I've got the Wazacraft edition of the Blues Driver and SD1 here, but they're just set on the standard mode. So this should be a pretty similar comparison to comparing the OD3 to just a stock Blues Driver or a stock SD1. Let's have a listen to where I've got the OD3 at the moment. I'll let you hear the clean tone, then I'll kick it in. Now, there's a lot of overlap between the sound of those two pedals. The Blues Driver kind of sounds like it's got this more pronounced high-end zing about it, especially on the bridge pickup with a Strat. I might tame that by bringing the tone control down, or you might like that for the fact that it's just kind of making a guitar sound a little bit more present in the mix. The OD3, though, just kind of has a bit more body to it. It sounds a tiny bit more amp-like to me. There's like more dimension to the sound. I'm really kind of running out of descriptive terms here. They probably have more in common than they have different about them, but the OD3 kind of sounds more amp-like, to my ears anyway. Let's try it with the SD1 now. We'll hear the OD3 again. I'm still on the bridge pickup. Might go back to the neck pickup through this. Yeah, you can see the settings on both pedals. Let's hear it. So for that kind of amp in a box style tone, the OD3 is a little less compressed, again, more open sounding. I used the term dimensional before. Maybe that's what I meant. Maybe there was just a bigger dynamic range in there. That kind of made a lot more sense hearing it side by side with the SD1. While they sounded similar, they reacted a little bit different, and the SD1 was overall just a little more smoother and compressed. All right, let's try this. Let's try the gain all the way up on all these pedals. I really like the blues driver kind of for a fuzzy kind of thing with the tone control down low. So we will hear that first, then we'll hear the OD3. Interesting hearing that, because the BD2 definitely has more of that fuzz style quality about it, like a rasp in the high end. The OD3, again, just kind of sounding like you turned up the gain on your amp rather than that effecty thing that you get out of a fuzz. The SD1, I was pretty surprised by it. It was nice and smooth sounding. It was nowhere near as loud at those settings and kind of didn't have as much character. I normally like the SD1 as a lower gain drive or a boost anyway. So I think if I was going to go for an amp-like drive, the OD3 is probably the winner, whereas the blues driver will give you everything from that subtle enhancer to a really thick fuzz style thing. I did a video on the BD2 exploring that, which I'll link at the end of the video. And then the SD1, I mean, it's still my favorite boss drive for just pushing a driven amp or for a kind of low gain style thing. So we should hear the OD3 for the amp style tone, and then we'll kick in the SD1 or the BD2. The OD3 surprised me. It's a pretty awesome amp in a box pedal. It's definitely not just some kind of modded, upgraded SD1. It probably works best as your main drive or for a particular flavor of drive on your board. And in kind of typical Boss fashion, it just flies under the radar. You don't see a whole bunch of hype about this pedal. It's been in production for a little while. And even though there's other boutique options, it seems like there's a new boutique option that comes out every single day claiming to be the ultimate amp in a box. This is pretty awesome, and you might want to consider it for the money that you pay. I think I paid about 120 Australian dollars for this shipped, which is awesome, a whole lot cheaper than some boutique options out there. It's definitely worth a look, and as you heard in the video, it plays nice with different guitars. You can use it as a boost, not necessarily in the same way you would an SD1, and there's some overlap between other Boss pedals because, of course, there's overlap in there. It does some kind of BD2 things, it does some kind of SD1 things, but it is definitely its own thing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I'd love to know if you're an OD3 fan. I'm definitely a fan. This one's a keeper. It's going to stay in my pedal collection. And hopefully you'll hear it on a bunch more videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.